Welcome to a bipolar, a schizophrenic, and a podcast, where each episode is recorded after midnight in a vacant and possibly condemned location. Now here are your hosts, Gabe Howard and Michelle Hammer. Hello, my name is Gabe Howard and I live with bipolar disorder.
Hi, I'm Michelle Hammer and I live with schizophrenia.
Oh, you live with schizophrenia this week. Last week you were just straight up schizophrenic.
I guess I'm just trying to be more PC this week, I guess.
You've decided that you care what other people think.
Oh, it's not that I care what other people think. It's just, I guess I just am in that kind of a zone today. I don't really know.
You're in an accommodating zone. Is that what you're saying?
Apparently, because I don't really know.
That's fair. So we are continuing the getting to know each other for our listeners tour. We had a rousing game of how well can we lie. It turns out that you are an excellent liar, and I am not good at it at all.
I have been told that before. That is true.
So we're going to continue that by asking each other 3 questions, but here's the trick. Any question that you ask me, you have to answer. And vice versa. So any question that I ask you, I have to answer. But before we get to that, we are still traveling around. Where are we?
We're in Chinatown at a dumplings place where the dumplings are so amazing. I can't stop eating dumplings, but I had to pause eating dumplings to make this podcast. But we're in Chinatown and we're loving life because who doesn't love Chinatown?
So you set this up. I mean, this is, it's your city and you found these locations. Give us a little, just like a snippet. This isn't one of the questions. This is just a curiosity thing of mine. You already told me the story, so shorten it a lot because it took you an hour to explain this to me. How did you get these people to let us in? I mean, they're closed. They want to go home and we're sitting here with like a laptop, a couple of microphones. I mean, just like, how did you...
When I set up my pop-up shop for the store, I'm right on Mulberry and Canal everybody knows is all, Chinatown area. So when I get food, I go to like the dumplings place, get myself some Chinese dumplings. And I just made like buddy with the people. And I was like, oh, you have space back there. Let us record back there. And they were like, oh, well, as long as you buy dumplings. And I was like, okay, that's, sure. And they were like, okay, you come here enough because you be buying dumplings all the time because they're delicious. Chinatown dumplings are the soup dumplings is what I'm referring to, the soup dumplings. So I was like, oh, hey, okay, we were recording here. They said, yes. And I was like, okay, we're getting it done.
So the lesson for anybody that wants to start a podcast is 1, you need a pop-up shop, 2, you need to like dumplings, and 3, you need to be manic and have no fear. And then you too can stay up late with your mentally ill friends recording badass podcasts. Is that...
That's true. You just got to get in with the peoples, the panhandlers, they sell the bags and then they know the connections with the dumplings. We're going
to just move right along. When we are in Ohio, it's going to be way less cool because you're going to be like, Gabe, where are we? And I'm going to be like, we're at the library. It's open 24 hours and they let us rent a room. You're going to be like, great.
Oh, a library. We could find some books.
I'm so glad you put effort into this.
We could read books at a library.
No. I'm going to kill it. You watch. Okay. First question goes to the lady. That's you.
I'm a lady?
I mean, for the purposes of the show.
So am I the lady? You're the tramp?
That is accurate, but offensive. So
it's a Disney movie.
It's not. You didn't mean it in a Disney happy way.
I know.
You created stigma.
That wasn't stigma. That was referring to a Disney movie. And that means that one day we'll have pasta together and we will share the same strand of spaghetti.
I can't wait until my wife hears that. That's going to just go over real well. She's like, that's great. You're going to just suck down spaghetti until you kiss your co-host. That's not going to work for her.
Well, we could bite it just before we do that.
So now we've got to practice. I mean, now there's okay, let's move on to the questions.
Okay.
You have question number 1. Go.
Okay. My first question is, when did you first realize, or did somebody first tell you that you may have had some sort of mental illness?
Never. I really didn't. So what happened was I was dating a woman. Wait, time out. This is not a family show. So I had a one night stand with a woman, and we saw each other a couple of times. So it was like a 2-week stand. But yeah, she noticed something was wrong. Her mother was a psychiatric nurse. She has herself struggled with major depression. She took a psychology class in college, and she was like, yeah, this guy's not right. There's something wrong. And rather than, just going away and leaving me alone, she sort of confronted me about it. And she said to me,
Wait, can I ask your age?
I would have been 25.
Okay.
Yeah. And she said, are you planning on killing yourself? And I said, yes. I did not think this was a weird question. I assumed that everybody was thinking about suicide because nobody ever challenged that notion. I thought about suicide as far back as I could remember.
Oh, wow.
And I said yes, and she kind of freaked out. She was like, oh my God, we have to go to a hospital. And I said, a hospital? Why would we go to a hospital? I'm not sick. There's nothing wrong with me.
Oh.
And she said, what? No, normal people don't want to kill themselves. And I honestly don't know what was going through my mind, except that I thought that I was normal and I wanted to kill myself. Therefore, normal people do want to kill themselves. And she said, okay, here's the deal. Let's get in the car. We'll drive to the hospital and we'll ask the doctor if this is normal and if this is where you need to be. If the doctor says you don't belong in a hospital, you'll be right and I'll buy you dinner. If the doctor says that you do need to be in the hospital, then you'll be in the right place. And even in my suicidal, delusional, and depressed state, I still had the overwhelming desire to win an argument. So we got in her car and we drove to the emergency room. And I really want to be clear on this point. The entire car ride there, I was 100% positive that I was right. That the hospital was going to be like, look, he's allowed to kill himself if he wants. This is perfectly normal. We all struggle with this. Go home. Leave him alone. Why are you harassing this man? I was positive. I was already thinking about where I wanted to eat dinner, rubbing it in her face that I won the bet. I was floored. We walked in. She said, this is my friend Gabe. He's thinking about killing himself. And like everybody sprung into action. And I was admitted.
Wow.
Yeah, I was admitted to the hospital that night. I spent 3 days there. It's where I received my first diagnosis of bipolar disorder. I was put on, meds, and the finale to this story or answer is that's when I began my 4-year epic battle with mental illness.
There you go, bro.
That's exactly what happened.
Well, that's interesting that you were 25 years old. Did you never take like a health class or anything where they talked about like mental illnesses or anything?
I mean, I'm sure that I was a bad student.
Gotcha.
One, I went to public school. 2, I dropped out of school my junior year. And the only reason I went back is because my grandmother figured out that I dropped out of school. And she's like, oh, hell no. And I don't mess with granny. So I had to move in with my grandparents in order to graduate high school. So no, I did learn about mental illness via pop culture, but mental illness was always violence. It was always drooling and wanting to like stab people to death. And so I wasn't violent. Plus I had a job. Mentally ill people don't have jobs. I had friends. Mentally ill people don't have friends. I didn't have like that death stare where I wanted to like eat people's flesh. So I just,
See, excuses. I see what you're saying.
I just didn't understand. I did not understand that what I was going through was mental illness. I thought it was my personality, and I thought I had a bad one.
Gotcha.
That's it. Okay, so the same question now you have to answer. When did you notice that something was wrong and that you needed help?
Okay, so I mean, it starts off like, in high school. The first person I noticed really anything was wrong was my mom. I acted out. I wasn't doing homework. I wasn't handing in essays, a lot of stuff like that. She knew I was kind of like depressed. She would try to get me help, but I refused because I was very paranoid. And I always thought my mother was trying to hurt me instead of trying to help me. So I go to college in my freshman year and I'm like, I'm free of her. She's not going to try to, hurt me anymore. And, my first few weeks of college were very fun. I was like having a great time. And then all of a sudden, my best friend, my roommate, I started thinking things about her, like, is she doing things behind my back? Is she trying to hurt me? Is she trying to sabotage me? Is she actually trying to kill me? I thought all of this stuff about my roommate, and I realized I thought all of that stuff about my mom. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's not my mom. It's not my roommate. It's me. Oh my God, there's something wrong with me. And I was like, I'm calling the college health center. I'm going to do it.
And you realized this on your own at like 19?
18.
18.
Because
Wow.
because I realized every single paranoid thought I had about my mom, I was now having about my roommate. The exact same thing. So all those times that I blamed my mom and I thought it was her, I now realized, oh my God, it's me. I need to go get some help. I need to try to fix this. And that just became an entire journey. But really it was, I guess I realized it in myself because I saw the pattern. I just saw a pattern.
Up until that point, had you been hospitalized at all? And when you went to the student health center, were you hospitalized?
No, I had not been hospitalized. No. And when I went to the health center, I just met with just the dude that was available. I wanted the quickest appointment, who was actually head of the health center. And he was like, kind of talking to me. And I was like, I think I'm crazy and I'm crying and blah, blah, blah. And then he had like piece of paper on a clipboard. Do you feel this way? Check, checkity, check, checkity, check. And I was just like, I just wanted help. So I was like, yeah. And at the end he goes, I think you're bipolar. So let's like set you up with the school psychiatrist. And I was like, okay. So I got hooked up with the school psychiatrist.
So your original diagnosis was bipolar disorder.
Yes, it was.
So if that diagnosis would have held, our show would be called Bipolar Squared.
Yes, Bipolar Squared.
See, I think that's a cooler name.
Maybe.
But then again, I don't like the competition. Like, I like being the only bipolar in a room.
Yeah, I guess so. But two bipolars and mania can be so much fun.
No, it can be very damaging and devastating. Let's not romanticize the horror show that is one manic person trying to be controlled by like 5 people who have all their faculties. 2 manic people alone. This is how we get serious problems.
I can't even imagine.
That would be terrible. Okay, so now it's my turn. I get to ask the first question.
Ask away.
All right.
Ask away.
Have you ever experienced psychosis, delusions, hearing things, seeing things, anything along the, that kind of a spectrum?
Psychosis, delusions, hallucinations. I mean,
hearing voices, seeing things.
Oh yeah, definitely hearing voices and stuff. About 20 minutes ago, I was outside my apartment just hanging out, and like the weather was nice. And apparently I was talking to myself right outside my apartment because my roommate comes outside, sees me, and she goes, are you just talking to yourself right out here? And I go, oh yeah, I guess so. But like that just happened. So I was talking to myself there. Plus a lot of the times I try to wear headphones on the subway because I'll just be talking to myself, but I want people to think that I'm singing along to my song. Or just like anything. I talk to myself all the time. Delusionalness, I mean...
Wait, did you say delusionalness?
Delusionalness, yes, I made that word up right now.
No, I just want to make sure we're using proper medical terms. Delusionalness.
Delusionalness.
Yes.
I don't even know. I try to make I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do this. And this is going to happen. 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 And who really knows what's going to happen? I just come up with crazy ideas and think they're going to happen when they don't happen. I don't really know. Delusional. Who knows? Hallucinations. I don't know. I see things on occasion.
There's a follow-up question that I have to this, and that you're under control. I mean, I hate the phrase med compliant, but you see your doctor, you take your medications as prescribed. You're living you're living a relatively normal life. I mean, you live alone. I mean, you have a roommate, but I mean,
Yeah.
you're not like in a group home, etc. I mean, you're managing your own life and you're living in recovery with
Right.
schizophrenia. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that you say, well, I still hear things or talk to myself or see things, because to many people, that indicates that you're not in recovery. What do you say to those people?
Okay, well, here's how I try to explain the talking to yourself and recovery is that there are bad thoughts and there are good thoughts, right? So if there's a bad thought in your head, you can be thinking, just kill yourself. You're so stupid. You're the worst person ever. What are you even doing? You're so dumb. Don't even get out of bed. So if I had those negative, horrible thoughts, I would not really be in recovery. But the thoughts that I mostly are hearing right now, because I'm all medicated, is just conversations. Sometimes I'm laughing, or I'm just chit-chatting, but they're not negative chats. They're not mean. They're not like yelling at me. It's like I still talk to myself, but it's positive. And sometimes it's funny.
So they're manageable.
They're manageable. Yeah. They're not like horrible things. And like delusions and hallucinations. Like I remember I went to like a Paul McCartney concert with my parents, and the whole time I'm trying to watch Paul McCartney at Citi Field, and there's an entire hallucination in front of my face of a whole like argument I had the entire time, and I couldn't like pay attention to the concert because I was having an entire hallucination, delusional conversation in front of my entire face, and I couldn't even pay attention because I wasn't on the medication I am on now.
What's the scariest hallucination, delusion that you ever had?
The scariest hallucination, delusion I ever had?
Yeah, and I know what is the scariest hallucination and or delusion that you've ever had, or voice that you heard? What's the scariest, unmedicated, most traumatic thing that happened to you along those lines?
Well, I would say it would be the ones that said, you have to kill yourself. You are a burden on everyone around you. If you would just kill yourself, everybody would be free of you and they wouldn't have to deal with you anymore.
And you didn't say that time, you said those, like this happened a lot?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see where that would be terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hug you.
Uh-huh. Huggy. Well, thankfully I didn't, never successfully killed myself, obviously. Obviously, I'm alive.
I like how you threw in obviously, just in case somebody was like...
Just in case you thought I was a ghost from the beyond.
This is
from the beyond.
Now you know why it's always after midnight, because we have to conjure Michelle.
I'm conjured, yes.
All right, now you have to ask me the same question back.
Okay, what's the scariest delusion, hallucination, like what are you like in that you've had recovery type of a deal? I don't even remember the original question you asked me.
The original question has so ask it like this: have you ever experienced psychosis and or delusions?
Have you ever experienced psychosis and or delusions?
Yes, delusions were really, really big for especially paranoid delusions. For a long time, I thought that a bunch of people were out to get me. I had a job where I was on the 13th floor, and the window washers would come every Tuesday, and it's on the 13th floor of a skyrise. So, you'd look out the window and there'd be people there washing the windows. That's just a thing. Well, one day they came on Monday. So they came a day early, and I was positive that they came a day early because they were coming to kill me. And that explained why they had to get there.
They were going to wash you to death?
That's the thing about delusions. They don't have to follow logical patterns. It's just,
I know.
I mean, I'm looking out the window and they're there, and I'm like, hey, it's Monday and not Tuesday. So clearly this is about me, and clearly they're about to kill me. I went home like with a horrible panic attack. I also thought that demons were out to get me. They were under the bed, or they were following me, or they were just messing with my life in some manner. I never saw the demons or even heard the demons. I just knew that they were there and working in the shadows against me. And it was terrifying. There were times I couldn't get out of bed. There were times I couldn't go into rooms. There was times that I wouldn't leave places. And I don't want to say that the demons caused the panic attacks, because of course the demons weren't real, but I think it was really a way to explain the severe panic attacks, because just to have a panic attack out of nowhere didn't make any sense. But if there was this demon out to get me and I had a serious panic attack, then hey, I was normal again. It explained why I was, so worried. I mean, clearly anybody would have a panic attack if a demon was trying to get them. So see, I'm not crazy.
Just demons were going to get you.
Right. Yeah, demons were going to get me.
Maybe they were, maybe they were. Maybe there was like gremlins. Maybe there was like a Jurassic Park dinosaur, like the raptors.
Really?
I believe it. It's true. It wasn't fake demons. It was a real demon.
I just think you just set back my recovery by about 10 years. Thank you, Michelle, for telling me the demons were real after all of the therapy and energy and time that I spent realizing they weren't. You just gave me the answer that I want to hear, and we live here now because I'm afraid to go outside.
PsychCentral.com is the internet's largest and oldest independent mental health online resource. Since 1995, our completely free, award-winning website has been run by mental health professionals offering reliable, trusted information, as well as over 250 support groups to people living with mental illness. From professional articles to personal stories, PsychCentral.com is worth your time checking out and is the generous sponsor of this podcast.
Now, here's my next question. When you were diagnosed with schizophrenia, so now you know...
So wait, am I turn to ask a question or is it your turn to ask a question?
I thought it was my turn.
I think it is your turn. You're right. You're smarter than me. Well, are you smarter than me? I don't know. Whatever, you go.
I don't think it's delusional to admit that I'm smarter than you because of my smartness.
What did you get on your SATs?
1460.
I hate you. Never mind.
You want to hear what's sad? Did not go to college.
And you got a 1460?
I did.
Well, I did not get a 1460. The end of mine did end in 60, but it was not 14.
Did you at least get over 1,000?
Yes, I got over 1,000.
Well, then that's all that matters.
Not disparaging anyone who got under 1,000, because I have friends that got under 1,000 and did still go to college with me. But
wait, so you studied and worked so hard, and they just like dialed it in, and you both went to the same college?
Well,
they're smarter than you.
People that I know that were got under 1,000. There was also help with the athletics.
Like lacrosse?
Not necessarily a lacrosse team, but other athletics teams. I'm just saying sometimes you can get a push. Sometimes you're not really supposed to say stuff like that, really. But you can get a push if you have certain athletics.
So they were on the soccer team?
Swimming.
Wow. You've been out of college for like 45 years.
45 years?
I know, you're still in your 20s. Calm down. Okay. It's my question now. It's my turn.
Go.
When you were diagnosed with schizophrenia, so now you have the diagnosis. You have been diagnosed with schizophrenia, and now you have to tell your family. What happened?
Tell my family?
Yeah, so you go and you say, Mom, Dad, I'm a schizophrenic.
Okay. The first story about telling my friends is better. I go to the doctor. I start being more honest, blah, blah, blah. He tells me that time. So I believe you have, kind of in a way, whatever. I think you have schizophrenia. Right after that, I go hang out with my cousin. And I tell my cousin, oh, my friend tells me that she has schizophrenia. How should I help her? And she wasn't really getting it. She was like, just be a friend, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. A few days later, I went out with my friends from college. And I said to them, just so you know, I found out I have schizophrenia. They all looked at me and were like, of course you do. And I was like, you guys already knew? And they're like, that could not have been more obvious. And I was like, are you serious? They're like, we would hear you in your room talking to yourself. Even like my roommate, one of my roommate's boyfriend who only lived with us for a semester, he goes, it could not have been more obvious. He said it was pretty much so obvious. Then I'm walking like in the East Village one day with my friend Lauren, and I say to Lauren, I'm like, just so you know, I found that I have schizophrenia. And she looks at me and she goes, yeah. And I was like, okay, this person also knew. Then I'm driving around with my friend Noelle, and I go to her. So I found that I have schizophrenia. She looks at me and she just goes, yeah, I know. And okay, so this happens. All of my friends that I was close friends with already knew and never said anything to me about it, I guess.
Just nothing?
I mean, they knew I had like a mental illness, but I was told I was bipolar. But they all believed I was actually a schizophrenic, but I didn't really talk about it that much. So anyway, my mom and my dad find out, and my mom had not a clue. She had no idea. But I had told my doctor about how all my friends knew, and my doctor told my mom that all of my friends knew, and she goes, like, really? She was shocked as could be. So all of my friends knew. My parents didn't know. I don't know if my dad knew. I don't know. But my mom had no idea. But whatever.
So back to my original question. You told your Mom, I have schizophrenia, and she said...
I don't think I specifically told her I have schizophrenia. I think the doctor told her I had schizophrenia.
Oh, because you went to the doctor with your mom?
Not necessarily.
Why would the doctor call your mom? The doctor can't do that.
I don't even remember specifically telling my mom I had schizophrenia. I told my friends.
Wait, time out. Does your mom know?
Yes, she does. Yes, she knows, but I don't specifically remember telling her. I don't really remember that actual conversation.
So it was just like a non-event then?
Yeah, I just remember that my mom said to my doctor that she had no idea, because all through growing up, she thought I had a learning disability. But really, it was a mental illness that was affecting all of my grades and stuff like that. So yeah, all my friends knew. My mom had no idea, but everything's like fine now. And really, with all my friends already knowing and already being my friend, I was like, this is fine. I'm just gonna like try to be open and tell people, because if my best friends already knew and were still my friends, why do I care what anybody else thinks?
Just to be clear, it just sounds like nobody cared.
That's what I'm saying. No one cared.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. Just, we know, me and you, Michelle, we're mental health advocates. Stories do not go this way. My story is similar. I'll just to sum up, my answer is pretty much the same. I called my family. I told them I got a diagnosis. I told them I was getting help. They rooted for me. They helped me move. I mean, there was... there's stories along the way of, them trying to learn about my illness, them help me, etc. But the initial me telling them, they were just like, all right, get well soon.
Oh, here's something my mom did. My mom bought books for me and my brother, like what is schizophrenia like, or something like that, like the whole basically like a read along kind of a textbooky thing about schizophrenia, and then she wrapped it in wrapping paper so we could read it and no one would know what we were reading. Really, Mom?
My family did little things like that too, where they thought they were being helpful, but they weren't. Like when I was prescribed medication, my mom said, "Wow, are you on all those pills? Are you sure you need them?"
I get the same thing. Same thing to me.
And it's, I love my mom. My mom's a great person. This is not designed to slam her, but, it's like, okay, Mom, housewife, medical doctor. You're telling me to ignore the medical doctor who said that I need them because you said that maybe I don't. And she knows she's wrong. We've learned a lot as a family, but it's funny along the way, the things that people have said that they don't mean to be hurtful. But, in the moment, they were kind of hurtful.
Yeah. Like, why do you need this pill? Does this pill really help you? Why do you take it? Like, what does it do for you? How do you feel? Do you really need it?
My mom can't even pronounce the name of the pill, but she's not sure I need it.
She would even be like, I looked that pill up online and it says it can make you gain weight. Are you sure you want to take this pill if it makes you gain weight? Well, it makes me stable and it makes me livable, and I might gain some weight, but I still play lacrosse in college and I exercise a lot. So I think it's okay. Okay, but it makes you gain weight. Are you sure you're okay with that? Because it can make you gain weight.
I'd rather you be thin and psycho than fat and happy.
I know. That's what I was like, what's the alternative, Ma? You want me to not take it, be thin and be batshit?
Okay. Now I've basically answered the question. So now your last question, number 3 for Gabe.
Where do you think you would be today if you weren't bipolar? Like, how would your life be different?
I do spend a fair amount of time thinking about this because I was in the IT movement of the mid 90s. And I know you're young, so maybe you don't realize this.
I know IT. IT is very big.
For those that don't understand what the early days of the internet were like, if you understood networking, programming, hardware back in like the early to mid 90s, tech firms took dump trucks, filled them with money, and dumped them on your driveway because there was just such a need for people with these skills. And it wasn't like it is now where every 5-year-old knows how to use an iPad. You know, iPads didn't exist. Computers cost, even home computers were a couple of $1,000s. And a couple of $1,000s is a lot of money today. It was even more money 25 years ago.
Right. Well, yeah, definitely.
And it was so saturated. I mean, there were way more websites than people could possibly use because everybody was investing in websites. You know, this was before
websites made with tables.
Yeah.
With tables.
To give people a little bit to anchor this in time, this is before Google existed. This was back when Yahoo was king of the mountain. And that's where I existed. And I made great money. I was young, I was tech savvy, I was personable, I was fun, I was married to a great woman who loved hockey and travel and
loved hockey and travel
and live music, and we had a blast until, of course, the symptoms of mental illness just, I mean, there are many things that cost me my first marriage, but, you know, being an untreated bipolar is definitely one of them, because it turns out women don't like to be married to untreated people with bipolar disorder. Imagine that.
I'm flabbergasted by that.
Yeah. And of course, it was impossible to hold down a job because of the suicidal depression all the way to the godlike mania. I just had so many problems that I was unable to navigate from one stage of my career to the next. So the thing that I think about is, one, I was really great at what I did. So my ego tells me that even after the crash, I would have still been valuable. And I could have been picked up to be a member of the team that invented the iPad or invented the Surface or, you know, the next generation of LED technology. I mean, who knew what I could have done? Or right. I could have gotten downsized in 2003 and never worked in IT again because it was such a saturated market. And then, of course, every 5-year-old knows how to do my job. I could have had to like move on and had no clear path because I had invested all my time and energy into, you know, the tech business. I like to think that, you know, I would have been I don't want to say a millionaire, but I like to think that I would have stayed in information technology and have been, you know, well off. And I'd still be married to my first wife who wouldn't hate me. And I wouldn't have all of these horrible regrets. I mean, forget about the job, the money, the divorce, and all of that. I just have so many awful memories of things that I did when I was depressed and or manic. The trauma alone has made me a different person. Forget about bipolar disorder. Just feeling so shitty of what I put my family through and my friends. Oh my God, I'd still be friends with some of those people.
You are not a burden, Gabe. You are not a burden.
I am not a burden anymore. I am not a burden anymore. It is unrealistic of me to say that I wasn't a burden then. I was absolutely a burden. My family loves me and they are good people and they were willing to take on the burden, but no, totally a burden. I have no problem owning that. And I'm glad I got well so that I could stop being a burden. But where would I be if I wasn't bipolar? I don't know. I'm going to go with tech millionaire.
That's a good, yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's the.
But when you don't really know, just go big.
I will say this. I absolutely, positively know that I would not be hosting this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, same question to you with a slight twist. If you were not schizophrenic, where would you be today?
Well, with all the opportunities in New York City, especially for like design, web design, interactive design, all that type of stuff, I think I, could have had, I've had many jobs in all type of design industries and stuff like that, but I think I could have gotten a good one. I think I could have stayed in a good one. I think I could have leveled up pretty well. And I think maybe I could be somewhere where I'd be a creative director or an art director, maybe be able to run a team or anything like that. I think I would have just been successful in a regular type job, but all of my, symptoms and stuff kind of mess everything up for me kind of every time. Like, listening to music, but I'm talking to myself. Who are you talking to? Oh, I'm on the phone. I'm talking to someone on the phone. Oh, wait, you're on the phone? Why are you on the phone during work? Oh, like, how do you explain that? You know what I'm saying? Or like, a lot of it was like, I could do better design, but I had so much anxiety and lack of confidence that I was like designing nonsense because I was so nervous all the time. And I had to gain confidence through like different jobs, learning all these different things to get to a certain place of confidence. Yet once I had the design set down that I could do things, it was my personality of being schizophrenic that messed me up in my jobs all the time. And also with my ADD, I was kind of like, one of my bosses was like, you're not the right fit. He just told me you're not the right fit. I said, did I do something wrong? No, you're just not the right fit. Is there something I should have done differently? No, you're just not the right fit. Like, what does that mean?
That's code for you have schizophrenia and we're not happy.
Pretty much. Yeah. And plus also, I think I've explained before that when I take a medication, I have a nighttime medication, antipsychotic. I take it at night, it knocks me out. It's very hard to wake up in the morning. When you show up late to work, your boss notices. And you can't explain to your boss, oh, well, I take this pill at night, it makes it hard for me to wake up. Okay, that's an excuse to a point, but you can't even tell your boss that, but you can't really use that as an excuse because then it's not fair. So I think if I didn't have schizophrenia, I think I could really be part of a great like creative director, art director, work in branding. I love branding. I love all kind of digital assets, web design, all that fun stuff. And I think I could be successful making a bunch of money, but I mean...
Wait, would you be a graphic design millionaire?
Well, art directors and stuff like that work in agencies make a lot of money. I don't think I'd be a millionaire, but I think I could be very, interactive, digital and print. People get paid a lot of money for that stuff.
You've worked on some big sites though. I mean, you really have. Didn't you did design work for The Onion?
I did some work for The Onion. I interned for The Onion when I was much younger, and that's when I was off medication, and it was really weird for me to work there. I was not well when I was working there. It was a disaster. But yeah, I also worked for like the New York Roadrunners. That's the New York City Marathon website. I worked on that.
That's really cool. You have done lots of awesome stuff. Now, did anybody back up a dump truck of money to your house?
Well, I have an apartment, not a house.
That's why. If you had a house, you would totally have the dump truck of money.
Yeah, nobody ever dump trucked money, but I've gotten checks in the mail.
Huh, that's very old school. I would have thought that you would have been like way cooler and gotten like the dump truck's worth of money. That's how people did it before PayPal. Like all money just came in dump trucks.
What are you talking about? You're just making up nonsense.
Yeah, that's what we do. Welcome to a bipolar, a schizophrenic, and a podcast where Gabe and Michelle, week after week, make up nonsense.
Nonsense.
Michelle, we have to get out of here. They're looking at us funny. Are you ready to go?
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm going to get one more dumpling for the road, and we're out of here.
All right. Everybody, we will see you next week. Don't forget to like us on iTunes or wherever you get this podcast, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to a bipolar, a schizophrenic, and a podcast. If you love this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Head over to iTunes or your preferred podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. To work with Gabe, go to GabeHoward.com. To work with Michelle, go to schizophrenic.nyc. For free mental health resources and online support groups, head over to psychcentral.com. The show's official website is psychcentral.com/BSP. You can email us at show@psychcentral.com. Thank you for listening, and share widely.